So this is a bold statement. Ignorance is evil. Many of us think of ignorance as something that's sort of a negative connotation, but I'm going to take it to the next level. And I'm just going to say flat out, ignorance is evil. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in this world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." I heard many years ago a story of a woman getting beaten and raped on the side of a freeway near a bridge in a New York City where there's hundreds of cars and people driving by. No one got out of their car, no one called for help, and this woman was raped and beaten, and no one did anything about it. Everyone thought it was somebody else's problem or somebody else's responsibility. When we think of a crime and there's somebody involved in that crime who's maybe not actually pulling the trigger or actually grabbing the bag of things being stolen, but they're watching it happen and they're not doing anything about it, they become an accomplice to that crime. So if there's people around you becoming enslaved, or there's children that are being abused and you don't do anything about it because you choose not to, then you're on the side of evil. Evil is the destruction of freedom. So if you're allowing other human beings' freedom to be diminished or destroyed, then you're on the side of evil when you're doing that action of ignoring. So what's important is to be conscientious and to recognize the importance of freedom, and not just your own personal freedom, but the freedom of all humans and the freedom of all people, and not only people now, but the future of other human beings. And freedom itself is really what we need to be concerned with, more than just humans. And that is my overarching concern, is that freedom itself is being more and more destroyed in our world. And one of the main reasons is ignorance. And people being distracted, like we talked about, in the case of where attention goes and attention flows. Let's look at some examples of the way people think about mind control. In the fictional world, when you bring up mind control, people imagine this Vulcan mind meld, like we see here, where it's Spock, putting his hands on someone's face and being able to go into their brain and actually manipulate and change things. This is kind of what I think many people think about from watching so many movies and television shows. And that's a big part of the distraction process that gets people conditioned to be mind controlled. When in actual reality, the way that mind control works is by fear. We can see here a picture of a police officer with his emblem on his hat and his star on his shirt, these symbols of authority and power. And here you are, or the person in the car sitting there, feeling full of fear. This is how mind control actually works, using fear and using these systems of control to coerce you into doing things their way. It's a subtle trickery that's been going on for a long time, and that does not make it right just because it's been going on for a long time, and because many people accept it does not make it okay. In actuality, stealing is stealing, and when someone pulls you over and forces you to pay them for whatever their reason, that's a form of extortion. And if they're part of a group that all wear the same colors and the same shirts and the same symbols, they're a gang. And when a gang steals from an individual, that's called gang extortion. And that is a good example of mind control, because it puts the average person in a state of fear, and it forces them to do as they're told, when what they should do is defend themselves.